Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Just Because Wrestling, and it has been a while and a lot has happened in the last 3 weeks, I want to say.
Getting around it.
Yeah.
Rey Mysterio is missing an eye.
Rey Mysterio is blinded.
Happened.
For starters. Braun Strowman is dead in a swamp
missing.
Presumed dead. I know, it's been crazy. We're not going to go to, obviously last show we predicted Extreme Rules, or the horror show Extreme Rules. We're not going to go through that because it's just been too long. And if you don't know what's happened by then, it's weird that you're listening to the podcast, I suppose.
Why are you listening?
And
where did you find us?
Yeah.
That's just some, Russian spy looking for code from our podcast or something. I don't know.
Because that's where it would be.
Yeah, this podcast's the front for other
activities. Shut up! Okay. Right. Where to start? Because there's a lot to get through. Not a lot to get through, but there's been a lot of newsworthy things.
Yeah, it's been
I'm trying to think of chronologically what was the first thing to happen.
I can go through. Oh no, I don't have my phone. Do you have your
I
phone?
have my phone.
Go through it. Go on NoDQ.com. Shout out to them and just scroll.
Okay.
Trying to think.
Fill the gap while I do this.
Fill the gap. Yeah, SummerSlam is on the horizon. Apparently, it's going to be in Atlantic City.
That's the rumor, yeah, on the boardwalk.
That'll be fun.
Under the boardwalk down by the sea.
I hope there's a casino type thing.
Deal, yeah.
Like a casino ladder match to just steal it from AEW. Would that be kind of considered gimmick infringement if they did if they did a whole casino team?
Nah, sure. Casino ladder match wasn't in a casino. It wasn't even in Vegas.
Yeah, but it was Double or Nothing, but it was meant to be in Vegas. But
but it wasn't. It wasn't a casino. The only thing casino-y about it was the bloody poker chip thing hanging from the ceiling.
It is typical Vince though, where it's
name is dead.
Well, we can't go to Vegas. I know. Atlantic City, the shit Vegas.
Yeah, right.
Where the real gamblers go.
I know, yeah.
Fun fact.
Tell me.
Dana White is banned from the majority of the casinos in Atlantic City.
Really?
Yeah, he won too much money.
I heard that actually.
Yeah, he so he's banned from the majority because he's actually a notorious gambler.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's constantly putting money on UFC fights. Apparently.
Is he?
I think so. Apparently, he's constantly.
I didn't think that'd be legal.
It's Dana White,
Yeah, interesting.
Shady ass Dana.
Yeah, but Vince bets on the WWE results, even though
they're scripted.
Yeah,
he definitely just rings Vince,
and he gets it 50-50. He just breaks even.
Yeah.
He's God damn it.
He definitely just rings Vince and is who's winning this week? Vince will be I don't know. I don't know who works there. Okay.
We only know 20 minutes before the show starts.
Okay, well that's one thing we could talk about, I guess, is just apparently Raw, as per usual, is chaos.
Yeah, but it's been like that for a while. But it's interesting because apparently the reason they got rid of Paul Heyman was because of that, because Raw was being so chaotic and being written right up to the end, and Vince. Apparently a direct quote from Vince was, "We cannot continue being like this," and yet Paul Heyman's gone and it's gone even more chaotic, so maybe Vince needs to look at himself.
Yeah, there was a rumour this week that that they taped 2 episodes of Raw this week. They taped the episode that went out on Monday and the one that's going out the following Monday, in 3 days time. What day is today? Friday?
Yeah.
And apparently on the day of the taping, the one that was meant to go that night was half done by when it came time to start the show.
Yeah.
And the one that was coming out, that was going to be taped directly after it, hadn't been even started.
Yeah.
So literally, it'll be interesting to see how Raw, because Raw this week it looked it was weird, right? Okay, I suppose the biggest thing to take away from Raw this week was Raw Underground, obviously.
Yeah.
So if you don't know, Raw Underground is this new thing that's happening on Raw where it's apparently so Shane McMahon is the MC of the thing, and apparently it was his idea as well that he pitched, and they loved it.
Well, it makes sense because Shane has been kind of into the martial arts thing for a long time. He famously tried to convince his dad to buy the UFC before the Fertittas bought it. back in what
97.
97. So so yeah, like that
Or
kind of in around
90s.
the attitude era.
93 is when they founded.
Yeah, so I think it was in around 97 because I remember I was watching. I was kind of during lockdown. I started watching like Raws in 1997, like in order, and like for a while they were actually promoting the UFC on TV.
Right.
So there was a connection there, and I think they were kind of in negotiations while that was happening.
Yeah.
But apparently Vince's thing was that he couldn't build stars if he didn't know where or what outcome was going to come.
Yeah.
So he decided against it.
Yeah, because there's been no stars coming out of the UFC in the last how long?
Yeah, but I also think it does make sense because for Vince, I think a lot of it was. No, he can't control it, number one, and if he was to buy it, the credibility of the UFC would be in question then, because people would be like, he's owned by the wrestling guy. So
So Raw Underground happened, and basically it's Shane McMahon has found this dingy old room in the Performance Center, and it's
is it actually in the Performance Center?
It's shot in the Performance Center because it's the training ring. That's the ring they're using. It's the training ring.
Where do people train these days?
With no
it's out
ropes.
in the parking lot.
Yeah, I know. With no ropes and no turnbuckles, and it's just the canvas and the mat or whatever. And what's it called? So basically, it's shoot fighting, but it's not. Well, as far as I can tell, anyway, it's worked shoot fighting. Like, if it's shoot fighting, it's horrible shoot fighting. And yeah, so basically, Shane McMahon is down there running a fight club essentially, and like, you know, they had your man. I think what's his name, Jordan Omegbehin. I think that's how you pronounce his name. I can't remember if I mispronounced that. I'm sorry, but that big giant 7'4" guy that they've signed there a few months back.
Yeah.
He's the body. He's like the bouncer, and they have Shane running it, and they had guys like they Eric from the Viking Raiders just killed some guy.
Yeah.
For some reason. They debuted Babatunde, now performing under the name Daba Kato. He destroyed some other guy. Then we had Dolph Ziggler beat up a guy. Which is like, Joe what, right? And this is one thing, right, that someone pointed out online and makes sense, right? Dolph Ziggler went down there and destroyed some guy, right? Just beat the shit out of him and choked him out with a rear naked.
Yeah.
And like, people are like, alright, so you're positioning Dolph as like this shoot fighter, like this really, like, and the thing is, like, he does have really good amateur credentials.
Yeah.
But like, there was a stat that came out that he's lost 7 WWE Championship matches since 2016.
Yeah.
And you're putting him up in these, like, you're positioning him as this badass. Like, I know by contrast then it makes your champions look better, I guess, but like, he never really comes close, does he? He always kind of like...
Yeah, but then that argument can be made that, you know, he is this badass and, you know, he that's who he is kind of in real life. But
I suppose the argument then, though, was like, the style he did in the Raw Underground is completely different to what he usually does in his matches.
Yeah.
So they were like, why doesn't he just... Yeah, there's a helicopter or something.
Yeah.
He was like, why doesn't he just do that anyway? You know what I mean? But anyway, that looks a small thing, right? And then I think that like the main event of Raw Underground, you could say, was the Hurt Business MVP Shelton Benjamin and Bobby Lashley came down and said, we run this shit now, like, and you know, which is cool. I
like that. Like, as you said off air, like, given the credentials of all three men in that kind of industry, and you know, the fact that, you know, they're kind of built as this kind of like not billionaires club, but kind of like shady business people.
Yeah.
Like MVP is. So like, you know, this is what these shady men were involved in back in the day, like underground fight clubs.
They're kind of like a mafios type deal, like, you know what I mean?
So it's good.
And the thing is, I'm loving the Hurt Business at the moment. They're one of my favourite things about Raw. MVP, since he came back, has actually been so
brilliant,
good. And he's proper, he's elevated Bobby Lashley. He's given Shelton Benjamin something to do. Literally the first thing he's had to do since he came back.
Yeah. Like, even when you think back to like the cuts that happened like 3 months ago, people were surprised that Shelton Benjamin wasn't cut. Yeah, and like here he is now, and he's one of the most prominent figures on Raw.
24/7 champion, man. But
so is Drake Maverick, and look at him, but he's back now. But
he's in NXT now, yeah. But so yeah, that happened on Raw, and it looked like, and shout out to Tom Campbell from Cultaholic, because he said this, and I actually kind of agree with him. He said it looked like they pitched two things for Raw Underground, and like they wanted to build them around two things. Like he said, one was the debut of Dabba-Kato, aka Babatunde.
Yeah.
He said like, because like it was like he beat up like two guys in like 30 seconds, and then Shane McMahon was standing with him, kind of like being like, you know, he is my champion kind of thing.
Yeah.
And the other was the Hurt Business coming in and taking it over. So his theory was both ideas got pitched, like, let's have the Hurt Business come in and run it and be like the big bad heels of Raw Underground. Yeah. Or, and then someone else pitched, what if we have Babatunde come in and be like the you know, the final boss of it, and like have Shane be like, you know, this is my monster kind of guy, like. And they you know, Vince probably went, yeah, do both. Do you know what I mean? And like, which is very plausible.
Yeah.
The other noteworthy thing that came out of Raw, this is what I meant, like, it feels like they had two things that they knew they were going to do on Raw, and then everything else they booked around it.
Yeah.
The other was this debut of a new faction, which was weird, because they announced it beforehand, which is fair enough, right? Because, you know, all that we care about nowadays is ratings. They want, like, the ratings for Raw have been abysmal in their eyes anyway, because, you know, they're at an all-time low. And they announced that a new faction was coming to Raw to cause chaos, which is weird, because how did you find that out? Like, in a you know, in a kayfabe sense, all they do, just say that to you, and
well, here's a memo, we're coming to cause chaos.
Literally, like, we didn't see who they were. We don't know who they are yet. We saw 5 figures in black clothes, throwing a Molotov cocktail at a generator, and, you know, because there was like technical difficulties throughout the night. And apparently, this was the reason why.
Is it Joel from The Last of Us?
Yeah. But apparently, we don't know their name. They're called Retribution.
And they haven't been revealed yet.
Apparently, it's 4 men and a woman.
Have they specified as to if they're former or
no?
Like
they've given nothing away.
Current stars.
They haven't even said if it's 4 men and a woman. They just, the way the video was, it sounded like there was 1 woman and 4 men there, and based on body shape and stuff, like, you know what I mean.
I'm trying to think who's there, who's not being used, or else who hasn't debuted yet.
Well, I saw apparently there was rumours that that Danny Burch and Killian Dane were being called up to SmackDown for some reason.
Yeah.
And Killian Dane was one of the number 1 guys people were theorising was in the faction. People thought that one of the guys looked like him, just body shape wise. Yeah. The other theory I'm seeing is that Tommaso Ciampa is leading the faction, and Dominic Dijakovic's going to be in it as well.
Yeah.
And I don't really mind Dijakovic, but I'm not.
But surely,
Ciampa,
because we've seen the figures, surely if it was Dijakovic, it'd stand out because he is a really tall man.
Yeah. Unless it like
unless he was on his knees.
No, unless like literally they just used 5 random you know, trainees, and then they're just going to get the other guys in later. Maybe, I don't know.
It's like the higher power thing, where the higher power was a lot smaller than Vince, and then Vince came.
Yeah, and everyone was like, he's really tall. But apparently, like, so they named him Retribution, which is, you know, a fine name, whatever. It's pure, you know, off the board of names, like. But the original name was I don't know if you saw this, but WWE trademarked 2 things last week. One was the Hurt Business, which is obviously MVP's faction, and the other was Justice, but it was Just Us, JUST, but it was put together like Justice.
Yeah.
And that was rumoured to be the name of this faction, but they changed it last minute to be Retribution for some reason.
It's fair enough. I'm getting really 1997 vibes off this, where like everyone's a part of some sort of faction.
I don't mind that. Like, see, I don't mind that as much, right? Because I love factions. I don't know why. I just think they're cool.
Yeah.
And that's partially why I love New Japan, is because, you know, like, there's like 5 gangs.
Yeah.
And everyone's part of something, but you're not tied down to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you're not defined by your.
But it tells stories then when these people come across each other in
and you raise the ranks and stuff like that. Like, you know what I mean?
And you can, you know, oust people,
natural tension, and
debut
whatever,
people and stuff like that.
Exactly.
And plus, like, I think the Bullet Club have been, like, especially in the 21st century, have been like the forefront of that. You can build a brand around a faction and sell T-shirts and sell merchandise.
And then the elite, like the guys who like
Yeah.
split off and made another one
And you
off
can-
the back of Bullet Club. Like,
And you can make people based on the fact that they're now in this faction. Like we're seeing it still with Evil, who's now kind of being made as a top guy because he's a leader of the Bullet Club.
The de facto leader now.
Yeah.
Like,
So yeah, like it is good. It's interesting. I'm just interested as to whether they'll stick with it.
yeah, that's the thing. Like, I mean, Raw Underground to me anyway doesn't feel like
I think it's
something
gonna
that'll last. Like, it just feels like a ratings boost kind of thing.
Yeah, like they'll have to introduce a title if this is going to continue, because like what are these people actually fighting for?
That's the thing. I put up a tweet being like, you know, how long till we see a Raw Underground Championship?
Yeah,
And
well,
like,
it makes sense if they're going to continue with it.
and the thing is, the other thing that you kind of have to take into account is like, John pay-per-views now is it going to be like a Raw Underground match? You know what I mean?
Yeah, unless they do their own type of pay-per-views, like they
You could do
maybe
that,
just
like-
branch off or just do an underground pay-per-view. You know, kind of like every couple of months, like an NXT takeover
Yeah.
type situation.
Like, it got panned online. The response to it wasn't great. People thought it was dumb, but because everyone was like, it's the Brawl for All 2, like. But
It's not, but it's not real fight. Like,
it's not real fighting.
yeah,
Like, we know for a fact that worked shoot fighting can work because we've seen it in Bloodsport,
Bloodsport, yeah.
and it's always fantastic for the most part. Anyway,
Yeah.
like the majority of the time, the matches are quite great. Plus, if you have guys like literally, like, you know, guys like now like Lashley and guys like Benjamin MVP, guys who are experienced in
Matt Riddle.
Matt Riddle, Shayna Baszler,
Shayna Baszler,
these people who have
Sonya
experience-
Deville.
Sonya Deville. I'm trying to think who else is there.
And
You know,
Brock
Brock, obviously, but you know, is he going to do that? I doubt it.
Goldberg.
No, he's not going to do it.
He'd love to do it. Kickboxing. He always wanted to be a kickboxer.
Yeah, but he's shit at it. So I've seen his entrance. We all see his entrance. The man throws kicks like I don't know how. Like,
CM Punk.
yeah, maybe. But, like, what? Odds of that now. Like, just, you know, anyone who has, like, I mean, Dolph Ziggler as well, like, you know, guys.
I'll tell you, one person who shouldn't be involved in it is Dana Brooke. My God, did you see? You showed me her thing. That woman needs to learn how to tuck her chin. She's gonna get knocked
She needs,
out.
she needs to learn how to extend her arms. What, like,
And
who's the pad man?
build a stance. She was standing square on, and
But, like, I want to know who this pad man was because, like, why did he correct any of this shit? Like, you know what I mean?
you know what it's like? It's like that episode of Simpsons where Homer's boxing. He just tips people over. That's literally all you could have done because she was standing square on. She would have. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
But anyway,
But yeah, that's what happened on Raw.
Ronda is another one if she was to come back.
Yeah, but like it doesn't feel like obviously if you wanted to make it worth watching, like you've put these big stars on it, like, but you know, it doesn't.
Like,
feel,
is it going to be a thing now where they're going to like dedicate an hour of Raw? Are they going to announce that like the first hour or the last hour of Raw is dedicated
it
to Raw?
wasn't dedicated the last time. It was little segments, like, you know.
Yeah, but like
do you remember when Mick Foley said that the third hour of Raw was going to be for the 24/7 championship?
did he actually say
He
that?
said, that was the thing, because that's why everyone was like, this makes no sense, because it was the 24/7 championship,
Yeah.
but he said it could only be defended during the third hour of Raw.
I don't remember him saying that.
He did. He
Yeah,
said
so-
he said it in the promo where he introduced it. So, and then everyone was like,
Mick's
that makes,
brains just fried.
Yeah, everyone was
anyway.
just like, that makes no sense.
Yeah.
But so I don't know when they announced like, oh, like the third hour of Raw, like late night Raw is going to be Raw Underground.
Well, that's probably something they should do because at least it gives an incentive for people to stay on for the third hour of
It
Raw,
would theoretically make the first 2 hours of Raw more concise and like worth watching.
which is good. Yeah, they should really split it because they used to do it in the 90s, the late 90s, like 97, 98, 99, where like the first hour of Raw was Raw and then Raw's War was the second hour of Raw. So like, no, so like Raw would be, sometimes it'd be like even different commentary teams and stuff, and like the first hour of Raw would get an intro and then the second hour of Raw would get a separate intro. It was like you were watching two shows.
Yeah.
So if you go back on the network and watch them, that's the way they're structured. So even if you did something like that, like gave Raw Underground as separate intro and stuff like that. So like it's like you're watching a second show.
Yeah.
And if you want to stick around for the last hour of Raw and see it, then be my guest. You know.
Yeah, interesting. I suppose the thing is they kind of did it with SmackDown and 205 Live, having 205 Live just be directly after SmackDown and kind of act as...
It wasn't part of SmackDown.
It wasn't part of SmackDown, I know, but it was kind of like stick around for 205 Live, do you know what I mean? And no one did, like. But,
yeah.
Anyways, moving on from that, I suppose just something I saw just there because it was newsworthy. Matt Cardona debuted in AEW.
He did, yeah, and he done pretty well for himself.
I think he's
his
the first.
match.
Is he the first one of those releases to go to the AEW? Is he? Or am I missing someone else?
No, Luke Harper was gone before. Wasn't
He was gone before.
The Revival were gone like just before. Yeah, I think you're right. I'm trying to think of anyone. No, yeah, you're right. I think
unless someone showed up on Dark or something that I did.
I don't think so. No. So yeah, I think Cardona is the first. Yeah, there was a lot turned up at Impact. But yeah, I think Cardona has been the only one that's been saying.
Now known as Heath. There was
Heath.
He's just Heath now. Yeah. There was EC3. There was Eric Young. There was
Gallows and Anderson.
I think that was it.
Yeah, still that's 5.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
I might be missing one. Was there one? No, I'm not. I thought there was one there. But yeah, Matt Cardona's debuted in AEW last week, and he made his official debut, like his in-ring debut this week, at a tag match with Cody against the Dark Order, John Silver and Alex Reynolds.
It was a good match.
Pretty good match, yeah. Nice, tidy little match. It actually, Joe, I think it did more for Reynolds and Silver than anything.
Yeah.
They got to, like, usually they're just used as cannon fodder for the Dark Order, you know, in these multi-man segments and stuff but they actually got to do a tag match, and they were known on the indies as a tag team and stuff. I can't remember what their name was though. I can't remember what it is, but they were like they're former PWG tag champions and stuff. So they're pretty good.
But even the Dark Order got a huge win.
Yeah,
over the Elite
Order,
and FTR.
Like they've been they beat the Elite and FTR. Dax Arwood apparently out with an injury though. That's the only thing.
No, he's not. He wrestled with the knee brace.
Yeah, but I think it's his ankle. I think they said it was a knee injury, but I think it's his ankle that's actually hurt.
Really?
Because he put up on the Tuesday. It was like him with like a thing around his ankle, being like this.
But then he wrestled on the Wednesday.
Yeah, I know, but that was a tape. No,
that was live.
Was it? No. Yeah, I don't know. So maybe it's probably a minor thing. So and they just took him out early to make sure he didn't do.
And plus, he could wrestle multi-mans and stuff, you know.
Yeah.
So.
Plus, I reckon they do have big plans for FCR in the coming weeks.
Of course they do. Yeah.
Obviously, next week we have Tag Team Appreciation Night. So
yeah, the Rock and Roll Express and Aaron Tully. Are they going to wrestle one more time?
One more match.
Imagine.
One more match. But we I think announced we're getting the Young Bucks versus Grayson and Uno of the Dark Order. Yeah. And we're getting Kenny and Hangman are defending the tag titles against Jurassic Express.
Is the titles on the line? I didn't think they were.
Yeah, they weren't originally announced, but now they are.
Okay.
We also have Cody versus Scorpio Sky for the TNT title.
Yeah.
We have Chris Jericho versus Orange Cassidy for
the
$7,000. Just a big grudge match. Do you think surely Cassidy wins that one?
Yeah.
You would think so.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Especially with what happened this week.
Yeah.
Especially with Jericho getting the upper hand.
Yeah, you would surely think so.
Which was a great segment.
Great segment, yeah, really.
Chris Jericho has been consistently the best segment since AEW started.
Yeah, more often than not.
Yeah, he's been outstanding.
He's just hilarious. He's just so funny. So not much in AEW news, I guess. But we know the main event for All Out will be Moxley versus MJF.
Yeah, which
should be good. Nice contrast.
It'll be interesting. With AEW as well, Excalibur's taken off commentary for now.
For comments he made in PWG that were
in
racist.
2004, I think. Kevin Owens was involved in the segment as well.
He was, but he didn't say anything.
But still, it'll be interesting to see what happens there. So Taz is on commentary, and they've taken Brian Cage and what's the man's name? What's the other guy?
Funny.
No.
Ricky Starks.
Is it Ricky Starks that
that's
Taz is with now? Is it?
Guy,
Yeah. So both of them are off TV apparently. Ricky
yeah.
Starks.
Well, I think Ricky Starks has wrestled a few matches on Dark and stuff. But yeah, but they're not on Dynamite. Like.
Yeah, because they said Tony Khan suspended him.
For what?
I don't know. But that's what Taz said on commentary.
They beat up there.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, so Taz. That's what Taz said on commentary. So I don't know if Taz is permanently going to be on commentary now, which would be a shame because I liked him as with Brian Cage.
The thing is though, like even when Excalibur was still on AEW television, I mean, who knows when he's going to be back? I don't know.
Right.
Or if he's going to be back, yeah, I don't know. But like Taz kind of still was able to do the manager / commentator thing.
Yeah.
You know, and he still did it. Like he's been outstanding as a manager, and he's probably my one or two favorite commentators of all time. I say, like when I think of wrestling as my childhood, I always think of Taz.
Yeah.
I just think because I think I just watched more SmackDown than Raw.
He's up there for color commentary as one of the best ever.
I think he's fantastic.
I think he's very good. He's very insightful.
Yeah, he
in terms of
he knows his shit. Like.
Yeah, and he's very good at discussing how the superstar and stuff is feeling and stuff in this moment because he was there.
Yeah.
So it's cool.
Yeah. I suppose in kind of weird wrestling news, The Rock bought the XFL, which is a thing.
It's strange.
2020 rolls on.
Very strange.
Yeah, you have your doubts about it.
I have my doubts that this is Vince's way of getting out of a lawsuit, really, because if he sells the company, it proves that due diligence and all that legal stuff. And 15 million is a very, very low price to sell it.
That is pennies for what he paid. What went into it?
Yeah, and if that lawsuit actually went ahead, then he would have, lost a lot more money. So my theory behind it is that he got a deal with The Rock where The Rock will buy it for 15 million off him, and Vince will buy it back for like 20 million in a couple of years' time, and like Rock will profit 5 million, and Vince will only lose 5 million and not 100 million in the lawsuit.
Well, is he only losing 5 million because he did pour 300 million into it? Like, so is he not losing?
Well, yeah, but that money's gone. But like, if the lawsuit happens, he'll lose a lot more than 300 million.
Yeah,
so if he didn't prove due diligence, so there's my theory. Who knows?
Maybe The Rock just wants to have a football league.
Finally fulfill his dream.
That's the thing. Like, will he play in it?
Yeah. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I see he kind of jokingly accepted a match with Daniel Bryan.
Yeah. Who's the best dad?
Yeah, the Bellas actually had both their babies.
Shit, yeah, I forgot about that. And 24 hours apart as well, less than.
So congratulations to them.
That's not choreographed at all.
Their weird family situation.
Yeah, I feel so sorry for Daniel Bryan. Like, I'm sure Bree's a lovely woman, but like, they're so opposite. Do you know what I mean? They're not, like, they're such different people.
Yeah.
Because Nikki's worse. Don't get me wrong.
Nikki's a lot worse.
Nikki wants to be the reality star, Kardashian-esque bloody person, but I
think Bree just gets along with it.
Bree just goes along with it because she's like, that's how we'll make our money. Like, but like, Daniel Bryan is nothing like that. And even like if you watch him on like Total Bellas and stuff, like he's there, like you could just see he's like, would you ever fuck off? Like, I mean, he doesn't want to be there. He doesn't want to be there. Like, I
think that's probably part of the reason why Cena got out of it. Really,
I say so. I say he was like, I don't want cameras following me around all the time.
Yeah. But Cena is always kind of a very private, weird guy. Anyway,
he's very he likes his life to be his life. And everything, like, do you know what I mean? So
funny for a guy who spent his entire career in the spotlight, but like
yeah, he needs some privacy. I don't want people seeing my overtly clean house, but So the Bellas had two baby boys.
Yeah,
future tag champions right there. The Bella Boys. Who knows? What else has happened in the last 3 weeks? I'm trying to think. I'm definitely missing something. I don't know. Let me just scroll over the news there. Oh, Marty Janetty.
Jesus Christ! I forgot about this.
Let's talk. This only happened. Was it yesterday or 2 days ago?
Oh, Jesus Christ!
So, if you haven't seen this, And it's, Joe, what? It's weird because like it's through Facebook, and it's, you know, Facebook is becoming slowly the more obsolete of all the social medias, like, you know what I mean?
But like he's been using Facebook for a long
years,
time.
yeah. So anyway,
and putting up just.
Okay, so I'm not going to get the post, and I'm not going to read it, right? Because you can, if you're that interested, you can find it yourself. So basically, Marty Janetty confessed to murder or potentially murdering someone on Facebook. So he put up a post, and he said, "I never told anyone this because not even my brother, in case something happened to him. But basically, I don't
get that. Like, in case something happened to him, you know, I don't know. It was very incoherent.
It was very all over the place. But he said that, you know, he was buying weed. He was 13, buying weed off a guy who worked at a bowling alley that I think he said he worked at too.
He used another word
he
for
used a derogatory term for a homosexual man.
Yeah.
And he said the man dragged him behind the alley of the bowling alley, or dragged him behind the bowling alley and he said to do what you know comes next. And he said he made sure that no one would ever touch him like that again or something like that. And he said like they should have looked in the Chattahoochee River. And he said it was the first time he made someone disappear. And he said they should have looked in the Chattahoochee River.
The first time.
That's the thing. So first of all, we have blatant homophobia. We have implied murder, implied multiple murders, and then he went on to talk about this woman named Winnie, who he said was his favourite, but if you know, basically implied that I think she left him or whatever. Like, he put a picture of this woman, and I think he basically implied that he would kill her too or make her disappear.
Yeah, Jesus, yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff going on. Heavy. Apparently, police are investigating him. I think it's
rightly so. Yeah. Jesus Christ.
And the thing is, like, I mean, like, Marty Janetty has been like a point of jokes for a while, like, because he's put up like these mental Facebook posts.
It's sad
about cocaine and about his daughter.
Yeah. Well, his who he thought was his daughter.
Yeah, just, you know, these weird posts and stuff, and it just screams of a man who's not mentally sound. You know what I mean? Like, he seems like he desperately needs help, whether that's just, you know, through rehab or even, you know, jail might even be the best place for him, kind of thing. Like, just get his head straight, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Just, it's sad to see, because like a guy who was, you know, at one point so prominent in the wrestling business, like, literally is like, you know, he's deteriorating at a rate that, like, is crazy. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean?
You know who I'd love to hear their opinion on it is Shawn Michaels, because it's like
he could have easily gone down that path.
Yeah, it's like him looking at here's what you could have been if you didn't turn your life around, you know? He could have easily been like that, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
Not like murdered anyone, or at least I hope not.
But he was in a very dark place once upon a time, like.
Yeah, and he's since tried to help Marty Janetty. You know, remember when they briefly brought Janetty back in like 2006 and stuff. Like, it was in the lead up to him and Angle and stuff like that, and they were teaming again and stuff like that. That was when he was trying to help Janetty and trying to convert him, and he did for a while, and kind of slipped back into his ways and stuff. So I'd love to hear what Shawn Michaels what his take of it is, because it is sad. It is very, very concerning if what Marty's claiming is true.
It's true, yeah. See, the thing, like how old is Marty now? Like 50, like 55.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And he's claiming this happened when he was 13. So
like a 42-year
cold case, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's gonna be pretty, like, even if something has happened, like, unless Marty flat out like, they're also gonna have to look for someone who fits the description, people who have gone missing who fit the description, you know, unsolved cases of people who fit that description from around the time period in the area.
Unless they actually find a body there, but
40 years in a river is that there's gonna be no body there.
Yeah,
there's gonna be bones probably, but even at that, you wouldn't know. And like this, who knows if this is even true? You know what I mean?
Yeah, this could genuinely be, you know, a
just
man
ramblings, like, you know what I mean?
mental state.
Like the thing is, like it sounds really specific and serious for it to not be true. Do you know what I mean? Like but you never know really. And like the thing is, because it happened such a long time ago, that like it's one of these things that'll probably drag out for at least a couple of months before, unless Marty can come forward with a name and a full confession, then obviously that'll speed things up dramatically. Like, but going off the information that is just there alone,
you're going off
very little.
Yeah,
because think of like, okay, according to Marty, this man was gay, but like it was 40 years ago in the 70s.
So whether he was actually openly gay,
was gay, like, you know what I mean. So that's the thing.
Yeah, it's concerning. Like what is concerning also is the fact that he said it's the first time he made someone disappear.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I mean, he's implying that he's done it since.
So yeah, that wasn't the last time. So like it's very worrying. It's very concerning, and I hope what he's saying isn't true. But then again, you just don't know. So, we'll let, the investigation take its course, and let's see
if anything else comes out.
If anything, comes, we might never hear anything of this again.
Thing, like, do you know what I mean?
You just don't know.
Yeah, but we just kind of hope that, like, Marty gets himself checked, man. Like, just like, get your head right.
I can sense a Dark Side of the Ring episode.
There was a meme of that, like, it was like, like Marty Janetty post something on Facebook, and then it was like Dark Side of the Ring producers and like rubbing their hands and stuff. Like, you know what I mean? This is it. Like this is the sad side of wrestling. Like, this is that. Like we're looking at shit and we're like, all right, so there's gonna be another season of Dark Side of the Ring anyway.
Yeah.
Because like you can literally.
Well, there's so many sad stories in wrestling that you could like this. They haven't even scratched the surface in terms of the stories that they've told.
Like, apparently there's talk that the next season is going to be completely based off Japanese wrestling, like this shit that comes out of Japan.
And like, not only that, then you still have a lot of stories that haven't been told in the US.
Yeah,
So interesting actually. That Arn Anderson. This was a month or two back. He was asked about whether he'd be open to an episode about the time he was stabbed by Psycho Sid, and he said no. He's like, no, he wouldn't do it.
Just leave it like.
Yeah, he said like that part of his life's over, and him and Sid have both moved on, and he's not interested in.
I imagine they're not on good terms.
I don't know. I think they kind of are. Well, I don't think they're friends. Like, I don't think anyone's going to be inviting them over for the holidays. Like, but I think it's just kind of a thing that happened, and they both regret it. Move on.
Got crazy in the 80s, man.
Yeah.
Or the 90s, whenever it was.
It was the 80s, I think. Like in late 80s, early 90s, maybe. I'm not sure, to be honest. Stabbed him with the scissors.
Yeah, I know. He literally went to his hotel room to kill him, like.
And Eric Bischoff, like, said it in a promo once on Nitro.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah,
Sid was like intimidating someone. Bischoff was trying to go to him. He was like, "What's the matter, Sid? You don't have your scissors?" Oh God!
Oh no! Aren't somewhere like, hey. Yeah. So yeah. Other than that, Marty Janetty needs to seek help anyway. Let's move some lighter news.
Yeah.
See, apparently, Gallows and Anderson are trying to convince AJ to come back to Impact.
That won't happen.
It won't happen. AJ's going to finish his career in WWE, but like
he makes way too much money.
Yeah, but apparently, Impact wanted to induct him into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. And
AJ said no because he doesn't want to go into someone else's Hall of Fame while he's working for WWE. So he said it wouldn't be right. Like,
yeah.
So, but Gallows and Anderson are trying to convince him to come over, but like AJ's not going to go.
Yeah, unless they do kind of a deal like the WWE did with Ric Flair at that time.
Have a swap.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's AJ.
Who'd they get? Who's there? Who's an Impact that they'd like to have?
No one. Like, who's there? That's
might have been Tessa a couple of months back, but
that seems like AJ's one of the greatest of all time at this stage. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Who do they have?
Like, Ric Flair for Christian was a bargain as well. Like, but
yeah, Bruce Pritchard it's he talks about that story, and it's like the bane of his life.
Like, no offense to Christian, but like,
but that's what he said. He was, because Bruce was like, they were asking for Ric Flair. He was working with TNA at the time, and Dixie was like, oh, "Do you think we can get Christian?" And Bruce was like, "Do you not want to ask for Cena first and see if they say no?" Like, he was like,
no,
he was like,
moon, you might hit the stairs.
yeah, like he was like, you really want Christian? Like,
I mean, he's great, but
yeah,
it's Christian.
And he didn't even want to do it, but he had to.
Yeah.
Apparently, he didn't even want to be there when he turned up. But like, yeah, they were getting WWE were getting Ric Flair, and Dixie wanted Christian.
I know. Yeah. Who else was there at that time? Like, dude, literally, like
Sting.
No, but not on the WWE side of things.
Oh, like Triple H, Undertaker, Edge. Rock was still under contract. Yeah. Austin was still under contract.
You had Edge. You had the better half of them. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, again, no offense to Christian. He's great. I love Christian.
Cena, Batista, Undertaker,
Kane.
Rey Mysterio, Kane,
Eddie
Guerrero. No, that would have been after. No, Eddie was dead when Rick went into the Hall of Fame first. And this was after. So
was The Rock under contract?
He was, yeah, apparently. Well, that's what Bruce was saying. He was like, we could have asked for The Rock, but we asked for Christian. It's like, even if they say no,
I mean, yeah, they might be like, here's someone else.
Because that's what Conrad Thompson did then with Starcast. Remember when they took Angle and Undertaker, and they said, well,
Vince.
Ask for everyone. You asked for Vince,
yeah,
and then he asked for Stephanie. And Bruce said then he had to ring Conrad and be like, what are you doing?
Stop.
They're giving out to me and work over my co-host.
But literally, like, if you say, like, Joe, yeah, that's the thing, like, Joe, if you're like, how much do you want for this? If you say $1 million euro.
Yeah.
They're like, no, I'll give it to you for 100,000. No, 800,000. Like,
it's negotiation.
You overhype it to bring it down to the
They could have definitely got someone better than Christian.
Well, better than Christian at the time, anyway. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you know, like, Christian,
well, it's no offense to Christian, but Christian wasn't.
At that point in their careers, it was obvious who was the bigger draw. Like, you know what
yeah.
I mean? And
but you could have asked for, like, Chris Jericho. You could have asked for anyone, like, you know.
Yeah. Who else was there? Like, there was loads others.
Jericho, like
there was a reasonable one. Like, genuinely, Rey Mysterio wouldn't have been out of the realm of possibility. Like, you know what I mean? It would have been bigger because you might as well get someone who was never on the on Impact or on TNA at the time. Is, like, bringing Christian back just kind of was like, imagine putting Rey Mysterio in the X Division. What you could have done.
Yeah, just for one match or something.
Literally, have an Ultimate X match with Rey Mysterio in it. The shit you could have done.
But, like, you know, that was Dixie Carter. I'm reading.
Brock under contract.
No.
It was after this before, wasn't it?
Oh, it was well after. That was like 2010, 2011.
Oh,
yeah.
Jesus, yeah.
CM Punk would have been another one. You
Punk
know?
was around. Yeah, he wouldn't have hit his full potential by then. Like.
But I'm trying to or I'm reading JR's book, and he's talked about when in 2010 he was in negotiations to go to Impact, like TNA, and he met with Dixie and her dad, and because like Bob Carter, he basically owned it and let Dixie run it, like, and he met with Bob first, and he asked what would it take you to come in, JR, and JR was like, well, I need control of the roster. I want to be the head of talent relations. I want to be the guy who hires and fires people. He was like, you have a lot of people under contract that you don't even use, that are for so much, like, that take so much money. Like, you have a lot of people taking advantage of you, like, your business. And like Bob was like, yeah, that makes sense. He was like, but you know, Dixie is very self-conscious about handing over control and all this, and he was like, okay. And then he met with Dixie, and he told her all these people that they hadn't used in like 6 months, and how much like money they were wasting. And she was like, yeah, but I'm loyal to these people. Like, you know, it was just an insight. But like, he was like, these people are taking advantage of you. Like, you haven't used Kevin Nash in 6 months. How are you loyal to Kevin? Yeah, like, you know,
loyal for what? Like, what are you getting in return here? Like,
yeah, and
like, when you think, like, at the end of the day, workers are commodities. You know what I mean? Like, they're like,
Yeah.
you're investing in them to give you something in return. Like, you know what I mean?
Or like Bruce Pritchard told a story once of like, you know, he was asked like the difference between working for Vince and working for Dixie, and he said like after like work was done or something, and you'd go out for a meal with Vince, he'd be like, order what you want, whatever, like, and you'd be like, it's on me, and like, or like Vince would often come in from like a taping, and the boys would be at the bar, and he'd just like hand his credit card into the bar and go up, because like it's on me, everything and all that. And he said he's literally sat at tables with Dixie Carter, who's worth in and around the same amount of money as Vince.
Is she?
Well, her family is. Okay. And literally being like, going through the bill, being like, you had this, and you had this, and you had this, so you owe this, and you owe this, and you...
Insight into, you know, the littler leagues.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fucking hell.
Or they had a banquet for Sting for going into the Hall of Fame, and everyone had to pay for their meal, and Sting had to pay for his own Hall of Fame ring. Well, I think she wanted Sting to pay, and Bruce was like, "No, you're inducting this poor man into the Hall of Fame. You're making him."
Beer.
And he said that they bought him a Rolex. She bought him a Rolex, and Conrad was like, "Give me a look at the photo," because Conrad's like an expert in Rolex, and he was like, "You know that's a used Rolex." And Bruce was like, "What?" And he was like, "Yeah, like that's the old plating and all this. Like that Rolex is like 30 years old." She bought him a second-hand Rolex. But like that's just, you know, TNA.
They're doing well now, though.
Well, it's Impact now. It's different. Yeah. I just find it hilarious that she wanted Sting to pay for his own Hall of Fame ring.
That's so funny. You can order on it. Only order off the kids menu, guys. Okay. One side.
The early bird special. We'll be out of here by 7. DNA.
Yeah, great. I mean, what a promotion. We're getting 2 very interesting debuts in the next few weeks. We're getting the debut of Pat McAfee and Dominic Mysterio. One I'm a little more excited for than the other. Obviously, that's Pat McAfee. No, it's Dominic.
Are you actually excited for Dominic?
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just like, do you know what? It's not much to go off, but the little bursts we've seen from him have been, you know, exciting. Do you know what I mean? And I know it's not a lot to base off how good he's going to be, but like all his run-ins with Brock were great. You know, like even. Do you know what I mean? Even when he was getting thrown around the ring by Brock, like he sold it well. Like, you know what I mean? And like his 619 is immaculate. It's not as good as his dad's, because like
his dad is the king of it.
Is anyone's ever going to be? But like, the only thing I don't get about Dominic, right, is he's roughly our age, right? He's around 22, 23. Like he doesn't look like a wrestler, if you get me. Like, and I know like that people, like, you know, obviously you can look, you know, not everyone has to be fucking Hulk Hogan now, but like I'm just saying, even the smaller guys in wrestling, even the likes of Ricochet and Mustafa Ali, and you know, even guys like Orange Cassidy and stuff who aren't, or like they still look like they work out, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
do you know what I mean? Dominic Mysterio looks like me. You know what I mean? Like Dominic Mysterio has like, maybe it's just the clothes he wears, or it's like overly baggy or something, but his arms don't look like
toned,
nothing impressive. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, he seems quick. You know, he seems like he's athletic enough.
Yeah.
But like, I'm intrigued with him. I want to see how he does. First of all, plus it's 15 years on from the custody of Dominic ladder match.
Yeah, it's all poetic.
Yeah.
Have they brought that up on WWE TV yet?
Not yet. See,
I saw
their
Twitter did.
Their Twitter accounts, but like I don't know who runs that BT Sport Twitter account, because like they'd be posting like stuff there, like, like, you know, that like something could happen in New Japan or something. Like, and you know, like they put up something. This isn't something they put up now precisely, but along this ilk, like, you know, AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura could have a match, and they could put up something like, imagine this now in the Tokyo Dome or something like that. They've often said shit like this, like, and I'd be like, who is running this account? Because like they say
just
stuff,
get his hands on him someday.
No, like you can tell that like if Vince saw this, he wouldn't like it.
Yeah,
like, do you know what I mean? it's pure like a Mark is running this account, like.
Yeah. He must be having great crack.
You know, that's the thing. Like pure like no one knows about this guy. His basement. Just...
It's not even official BT. He just somehow got verified because he conned the system.
Anyway, I'll go on to their Twitter account now and just see if they have something quickly, just to as an example. But yeah, I'm excited for Dominic. Plus, like, it's Rollins as well. Do you know what I mean? So bound to get a good match out of it.
Well, he's in there, and we'll talk about Pat McAfee, but they're both in there. Were probably the two best people you could be in with for a non-wrestler. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Adam Cole and Seth Rollins could, wrestle a broom in the morning, and people would watch it. But like, what I just don't like the whole. I don't like the Adam Cole Pat McAfee thing as much because I don't like how they basically try to like con us into believing that he punted Adam Cole and that it was a shoot.
Yeah. Oh yeah. This, like, for example, this, right? Sorry to interrupt you.
Yep.
But like, okay, so you know how Asuka lost her Raw Women's Championship a couple of weeks back to Sasha Banks, which is probably that happened too, by the way, in the last few weeks. Yeah. And Kairi Sane has since left WWE. That also happened, by the way. And but the reason she lost is because Bayley attacked Kairi and caused a distraction, and Asuka counted out, and that's how she won the title. Fun fact for you, it was the first time someone has won a title by count out in WWE in, I think, 25 years.
Jesus.
And it was a solid 20 years anyway. So basically, on Twitter then, like, Asuka cut a promo the following week being like she swore revenge on Bayley and Asuka, or Bayley and Sasha, and people are being like, we might be getting Kana, do you know what I mean, like old school Kana from Japan, where she used to put on like the demon makeup, essentially become like her demon from like Finn Balor. And WWE on BT Sport put up this picture. I'm going to show you. Obviously, you can't see it.
Of Kana
with the face paint and everything, saying
unleash her,
and tagged Asuka in it. Like, Vince is probably like, who is this?
Who the hell's that?
I know what I mean. Like, that is such a that is not a WWE tweet. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
it's interesting. That is interesting, to be fair. Shout out to whoever runs that account.
Yeah, it is quite interesting.
It is entertaining, yeah.
But Dominic is debuting, and I'm excited. And because I don't know, I'm intrigued by it. Like,
okay, I'll put you on the spot. What'll be the better match, Dominic versus Seth, or Pat McAfee versus
Dominic
Adam
versus
Cole?
Seth,
Do you reckon?
I say so. I reckon Pat McAfee and Adam Cole. I reckon they'll both be like more angles. Do you know what I mean? Than matches. I reckon. I don't think they'll be as conclusive as like this is the end of the feud kind of thing. I reckon there's more to the McAfee Cole match that's being led on. I reckon that something will go down. Whether that's I've seen theories that McAfee will get someone in to replace him, as in like or not maybe not even a stand-in, just like, do you remember when Cena beat up John Laurinaitis that time and the Big Show came down?
Yeah.
You know, something like that. Or the other one that I was theorizing to you, I don't think it's as likely though, but could happen, is Adam Cole turns face. This is like, Adam Cole is the face in this feud, like, and like he turns face, but Undisputed Era don't turn face, and they oust him. Yeah. But then the thing is, I don't know who would take over as leader, because none of them feel like
unless they get a new leader.
Unless they get someone new in, yeah.
Who though?
McAfee.
No, God, no.
I don't know. We have that. Obviously, Dominic and Rollins.
What's the main event for TakeOver going to be? Is it going to be Karrion Kross?
Karrion Kross and Lee, but that match still hasn't been announced for some reason. And do you know what? The booking for that's been kind of strange, because Karrion Kross said to Keith Lee, "Give me a match. Like, I want a match for the NXT Championship." And Keith Lee was like, "Yeah, okay." And then Karrion Kross was like, "We can do this the easy way or the hard way."
Find it.
Well then, all right. But the reason they gave is William Regal came out and was like, "Ye can make the matches, I make the matches," but for some reason,
and I make war games.
War games. But he hasn't made a match yet.
They're just like wheel him out in a straitjacket. He's like, war games.
But it hasn't been announced yet. I'd imagine it'll be announced next week because Takeover's in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah. Who do you think wins that?
Cross has to win it.
Jake?
He has to win. Unfortunately, Keith Lee is going to be a transitional champion.
Do you think he chokes out Keith Lee?
Yeah,
That'd be impressive.
He'd want to, like.
That'd be impressive.
Like, he should, like.
Yeah.
Or it's just, I don't know, kick his head in or something, like.
It'd be impressive. It'd be more impressive if he chokes
should
him
have
out.
gone underground.
Carrying Cross?
He actually put up that he wanted to do it.
Really?
Because he said, like, he put up like a list of people that he's faced in, like, these kind of matches. But he didn't name anyone. He said, like, I faced, who was it? Like, you know, a Lunatic Fringe and, like, all these kind of, like, I can't remember who else was on the list. There was a long list. But, yeah, he'd be perfect for it, though. Yeah, all the matches, like, we have McAfee versus Gold for TakeOver, that's confirmed. We have Io Shirai versus Dakota Kai for the women's
Be a great
title.
match.
Should be
Look
good.
forward to that.
We have the ladder match for the North American title.
Will be good as well.
Should be good. It's kind of weird, like, how they're doing it, because, like, it's good because it looks like they're giving people who aren't normally in the spotlight of NXT a chance. Like, we had Bronson Reed is in the match now.
Yeah.
Damian Priest is in the match now. I know he's been kind of around for a bit now, though. Dexter Lumis was in the match, but has had to come out due to an injury, apparently.
Yeah.
Apparently it's not the worst injury in the world, but just it's an ankle
I think
injury.
he might have actually won it.
He was my pick to win
Yeah.
it. I thought he was going to win it. Now I'm not so sure. We know next week the qualifier is Kushida, Cameron Grimes, and a mystery opponent. So interesting to see who the mystery opponent is. The two guys I've seen are Tommaso Ciampa, which, you know, could be, because I haven't seen him for a while. And the other one, which is less likely given what's happened over the last few months, Velveteen Dream.
Yeah.
That's a kind of an iffy one. You not too sure about that one. I wouldn't bank on it.
Yeah.
And then obviously and then they announced that to replace Loomis, it's going to be whoever doesn't get, so it's going to be Balor, Gargano, Ridge Holland, and whoever doesn't get pinned next week or submitted, and they're going to face each other in singles matches, and the two winners of those singles matches go through.
Okay.
So they haven't announced who's facing who yet. Like, I imagine they'd wait till the
Okay.
very end.
Interesting.
So yeah, SummerSlam only has 4 matches announced.
Yeah. Who'll win? Who do you think will win the?
Ladder match.
Yeah. If you were to pick now, I know we'll do the predictions
now
next week.
I think Priest is probably the safest bet.
Reckon?
I reckon he's the safest.
I reckon Balor.
If he's in it, like.
But if he does qualify, I reckon Balor.
Maybe.
Because I think you need to do something with Balor now. I think it's been.
Well, it can be interesting if you have him win and you build then if they're still looking to build towards him and Walter. Like, it can be UK versus North American champion.
But like when, God only knows when NXT Takeover Dublin's going to happen.
It's still on tap for October.
It's still on tap for October, but like, if it does happen, I can't see it happening at full capacity.
Was it 500 in an indoor event?
500 in an indoor event but like they've pushed that back now, and they haven't given a date
September,
for it.
I think.
Yeah, something like the 1st of September. That's 500 for an indoor event. So you're looking at 5,000? 5,000 in the Tree Arena? 10? 10,000?
It's not 10. Surely not 10. I think I looked this up before. I think it's 9 actually.
Yeah, but still, 9,000. It's a big ask to have 9,000 people in a stadium. But yeah, so unless they push it,
unless they do an outdoor thing, unless they find like an outdoor place to do it. But
where though? The RDS.
I don't know.
If you went,
Park.
yeah, they won't even get planning permission for it to just set up.
Neil Martin was me there, like.
Yeah. Unless you do the RDS. What can the RDS hold? 25,000, 30,000.
Tree Arena is.
But I don't want to be going to a fucking show then.
Tree Arena is 13,000 actually.
13, yeah.
Which is I didn't know that.
That's 13,000.
That's for different things.
For
like
concerts.
and stuff.
I'd say it's 10 or 9,000 for a wrestling show.
I think I looked up for like indoor things. It was 9. RDS is 18 and a half.
So it would be big enough to hold
max,
5,000 people.
The biggest they ever got was 38 for a concert.
Yeah, but that would be big enough to hold 4,000 or 5,000 people. But then again, do you want to have 5,000 people in a 38,000 seater stadium?
Do you want to do an outdoor event in Ireland in October?
That is also very true.
Do you know what I mean?
But I think the RDS does have a roof, doesn't it? But then will that be classed as an indoor event? And yeah, it's very confusing, right? But then if
that doesn't look like it has a roof on it.
There's two versions. There's showgrounds in the RDS as well. You could have it in that, and you could distance 5,000 people inside there.
Maybe.
Or 9,000 people.
It's all
or
here.
whatever.
I mean, like, we're literally going on a week-to-week basis anyway.
Yeah, like it's all hearsay. It could be that they just push it to
coconuts, like.
They could push it to April and have it be like just exactly a year since it was supposed to happen now, you know.
Maybe. I mean,
but then again, will it happen in April then?
End of the day, yeah. Like, why not just wait? Do you know what I mean? Just be patient with these things. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The quicker you are to like push things back, the quicker things will get back to normal, kind of thing. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Don't try and rush it. I know America isn't exactly setting the example of that right now, but like,
yeah,
you know,
the NFL is still claiming that they're going to have full capacity.
for Super Bowl.
Not for like when it starts in November.
Is it? I'm sure everything else, baseball's back and basketball's back.
Baseball's back, but it's not back at full capacity, is it?
Basketball has no people out of it.
Basketball is no people. Baseball is okay because baseball
It's
outdoor, yeah.
And like, there's been wrestling events now. Like, GCW held an event there last week where they had people at it, but it was outdoors.
Yeah.
They could distance them.
I'm surprised that SummerSlam hasn't been, unless they are doing it with people, are they?
See, that's what Vince wants. Apparently, Vince wants people at it, and he's adamant. That's like the number one prerogative for it. That there has to be an audience, as in like not wrestlers. People have to be at. Not, I mean, like like normal people have to be at this.
Yeah.
No, that's the thing.
Picking people on the boardwalk in Atlantic City. You
want to see some wrestling?
You want to see some socially distanced action?
Yeah. But like, the thing is, right? Like, if he does want people at it, like,
he's going to have people at it because it's Vince.
But like, you'd want to start announcing it. Do you know what I mean? Like, or it's like, because that's the thing. I don't know how they're going to do tickets and stuff. Like,
though, if they have it in a public setting, then people just rock up. I imagine.
That's true too, unless they close it off.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think wrestling fans are loyal enough that you would get a certain amount of people that would go to SummerSlam.
No, but my thing is, like, the demand on the tickets would be fucking crazy. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's picking who goes, or literally
supply and demand.
You're
Like,
just gonna do first come first serve.
first come first serve. Put them on sale. Put them on sale the day before it sell out.
If it did
For the first WWE show, a crowd back.
It would sell out in seconds.
Yeah.
If it was only 500 tickets, it would sell out in a 60 seconds.
If you did 5, yeah, you could do 500 people if
It's
you did
like
it on
Crash.
But like, why don't they do it like, kind of not like Fight Island, but like do it on a beach and just, you know.
That was apparently the original. The original rumors were a beach or a boat.
Yeah, a boat you couldn't do because you couldn't bring people out to sea and have them confined on a boat.
See, the thing is, it's like international waters and all that kind of crack, so you can avoid these things.
It's like when Dana was trying to have the fights on the Indian burial grounds.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't actually law.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. Vince will be on to the Donald anyway, and he'll sort something.
That's
I suppose.
Like, do you know what I mean?
I'd like if they can do it in a safe capacity.
Oh, yeah,
I'd like to
far.
see a crowd.
But I don't think America should be doing anything.
No, not at all.
Do you know what I mean?
If our pubs aren't opening, then there's no way.
We haven't had any deaths. I think in like 10 days.
No, we had 5 yesterday.
Oh, did we 5
5
yesterday?
deaths yesterday.
Oh. Well, that was our first day with deaths. I think in like over a week.
Yeah, we had 5 deaths yesterday and 69 cases
69
yesterday.
cases.
It was high yesterday.
It
Yeah.
was 47 the day before.
But like, America had 90,000 cases like 2 weeks ago.
America is averaging 1,000 deaths a day.
Yeah, so like, there's no way they should be opening up anything.
Like, Disneyland is open. Like,
I don't even think Tato Park's opening here, is it?
will you stop talking about Taylor Park?
I want to go.
For those of
I
you
want
who
to
don't
go.
know, Jack is crazy to go to Taylor Park for some reason. It is open because I know people who went.
Okay.
I think you have to wear
So
a mask.
can we
though.
go?
I think you have to wear a mask though.
So
No, I know. Yeah, I'm just saying. Like,
can we go?
yeah, we can go.
Yes.
Hell, you talk to your girlfriend about it, right? I'm not taking you. No, back to it a bit. Yeah. trying to think what it. New Japan sporadically announced 2 tournaments for the next like.
Here's something.
They announced they're doing like their American thing. They're doing the American expansion yoke.
Yeah.
Like they had what's it called? Lions Break? No, it wasn't Lions Break. It was, I can't remember what it was called, but they did like a block of shows in America. And now they've announced New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong is the name of it.
Yeah.
And it's like their American show. And it's like again a block of tapings. But
Are they going to be running shows with crowds again in Japan?
I
know they are, but now Tokyo's going backwards.
Is
So
it?
yeah, they recorded like a record number of cases in like last week. So I don't know if a record number for Tokyo. Like, so I'm not sure.
I don't know. They haven't announced anything. Anyway.
I think they reopened schools and have closed them now again. So I don't know.
Because I know their next big show is the end of the Summer Struggle tour, and it's in Jingu Stadium in Jingu, and it's a baseball stadium. It's 30,000 seats.
So you could have.
I don't know if because I still don't know if they're operating at full capacity because they announced like the dates for when they are. I can't remember the dates off the top of my head. I think they can go at 50% though.
So you could have 15,000 people in there.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, but even when they did Dominion and stuff in Osaka Joe Hall, and like. They are operating. I think Osaka Joe Hall holds 10,000.
So they had 5.
They were operating at like 30%. It was like 3,000 there.
Oh, really?
But it was still good. It was still like, you know, an atmosphere. They announced the New Japan Cup USA, where the winner is getting a shot at the US champion, who is Moxley still, I think. And it's Carl Fredericks versus Kenta, Tangaloa versus Jeff Cobb, Tamatonga versus Brody King, and David Finlay versus Chase Owens.
Yeah, I'm surprised Moxley still has the title because.
See, that's the thing. People were saying that, like, you know, usually New Japan are like that to strip people.
Yeah.
You know, they treat it like actual like titles, like, you know what I mean. But they said because, you know, a lot like Moxley can't travel. And it's not his fault. Like, I know they stripped him of it because of a typhoon the last time. Like, but you know, I think also he was meant to drop the title anyway. I say.
Yeah, but then he came back and won it, which is weird. But yeah, I just don't, because I can't see him competing in the US for New Japan because Tony Khan's been adamant that.
Unless they just cut a deal, unless New Japan contact Khan and they're like, look, this is the only way we can do it. Like,
yeah. Like, I know Okada's been teasing doing something.
Oh, I don't think we talked about that as well. His announcement. Did you see that? They explained this.
Oh, did he actually announce it?
Yeah. Did you not see what it was?
No.
Oh God, Jack.
I genuinely thought it was going to be. He was going to answer Cody's challenge.
No, it's way more complicated than that. So, New Japan have announced a new championship, but it's not a championship. So it's called the KOPW Championship, or King of Pro Wrestling Championship. I'm assuming that's what it stands for. They haven't said that, but it says it's KOPW, which is usually what that means. So basically, they're going to have, I think they're saying, it's going to happen at the Jingu show, I think, that they're going to crown the inaugural person, right?
Yeah.
So what happens is, okay, so there's going to be 8 wrestlers, I think. There's going to be 8 wrestlers in a little tournament.
Yeah.
Each wrestler is going to bring a stipulation, and then the fans are going to get to vote on which stipulation gets used in each match.
So it's going to be kind of like Taboo Tuesday instead of Sunday,
right? So let's say there's Okada and Ishii, and Okada picks a ladder match, and Ishii picks last man standing, and then. I mean,
if they face each other, then the fans vote.
The fans vote which stipulation gets used.
Yeah.
And this goes on and on and on. I think you can change stipulation as well with each match. This goes on and on and on until the final. The winner is crowned the KOPW champion. There's no belt. It's just a thing you get. It's just a title you get. But you're not the champion. You're the preliminary champion. And then you defend the title, or the title, quote unquote, against whoever's next, or like whoever challenges you, and again, a stipulation is brought to the table. And I'm not sure, is it the case now that the challenger gets to pick the stipulation, I think? I could be wrong there. Anyway, it gets better. Whoever is the champion, quote unquote, by year's end, is the champion, will go down as the official champion, and then in 2021 it resets, it's vacated, and you start again, and it'll be even more mental next year because it's 12 months of it. I know, like, we have what month we are, August. We have 4 months left of this. I know it's ridiculously complicated. I thought it was a stupid idea anyway. New Japan have gone mental in the last, like, since lockdown came back.
Yeah.
Like, Evil's the champion for some reason, just bizarrely, and now the, like, de facto leader of Bullet Club. Like, they're doing this stipulate. Like, New Japan never do stipulations.
Yeah.
Ever. They've had one ladder match ever. It was between two gaijins. It was Kenny Omega and Michael Elgin. It was the only ladder match they've ever done.
What did Cody and Kenny wrestle in America?
That was Ring of Honor though, technically, and that was a singles match.
No. You're talking about the first match they had. Remember, they wrestled for New Japan in America. It was the night that they got back together then because the rest of Bullet Club attacked them at the end.
I think that was just a normal match. Again.
Maybe, but I remember Cody took that fucking nasty bump through the table.
Yeah, but that's the New Japan. They use tables like nothing.
True.
Like, so that tournament's been announced, or not tournament, kind of a tournament. I don't know. It's really confusing. Yeah. New Japan just, like, sometimes they.
Okada's gonna win it anyway.
That's the thing. He announced it. Do you know what I mean? Like, he announced what it was. Yeah. But the thing was, like, Okada said, like, you know, you can bring whatever stipulation you want, ladder match, steel cage, whatever. But I was like, a steel cage, New Japan. That's never happened. And imagine someone picked a steel cage. Like, there's just going to be a cage hanging above the ring, and it might not necessarily be used. That sounds like way too much work for production. Do you know what I mean? Assemble that, and we might use it, depending on the fan vote.
Do you ever hear Jericho's story about when he wrestled, or he was wrestling on Taboo Tuesday against Shelton? Oh, it ended up being Shelton Benjamin. But
I always thought they were, like, they weren't really fan voted. Like,
no, this is the thing. Like, some I think later on in time they weren't, but this was like the first Taboo Tuesday, or maybe the second, and they wouldn't, like, Jericho was Intercontinental Champion, and basically the premise was vote for who's going to compete against Jericho, but, like, it wasn't like 3 choices. It was like whoever is not already on the card.
Yeah.
You just vote between them all. So there was like 16 choices. And Jericho said that, like, he kept asking during the day, being like, dude, like, can you at least tell me who's winning the vote? And they were like, no. And he's like, how do you expect me to wrestle? He's like, do I have to come up with a match between 60 different matches? And trying to figure out. So, like, what he did was, like, he just narrowed it down to who he think it might be.
Yeah.
And
popular.
And then, of course, it was neither of the people he chose. It was Shelton Benjamin who was voted. Yeah. So he got into the ring. He said he didn't even know like what Shelton Benjamin's finisher was, because they were like, whoever they vote is beating you for the Intercontinental Championship. So he got into the ring, and Shelton Benjamin gets in. He's like, what's your finish? And at the time, Benjamin was like, a T-bone suplex. And Jericho was like, what even is that?
Yeah, that's the thing, like, he's the only person to call that.
So Jericho was like, okay, I'm gonna they were in the ring while they were saying this. It was like, I'm gonna springboard off at you, and I'm just gonna go limp, and you do your move. So he springboarded off, turned, and just, like, went limp, and he got him into the T-bone suplex for the win. But, like, it's just so funny, like, how they just wouldn't even give him a hint.
That's the thing, like, wrestling is in a very particular position where, like, you try not to, like, not make it as fake as possible, but you also need it to be as well. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, yeah, like, it's hard to ask someone to perform a match when he could be wrestling 60 people.
Yeah.
Because he was like because what he was saying then, this is what he was saying in his book, like he said, like he couldn't come up then with like just a standard match, because he could have been wrestling like fucking Shelton Benjamin, or he could have been wrestling Mark Henry. You know, like you can't have the same match with both of them. Like. So like, you know, but it's just so funny.
Yeah, because like I was thinking about this last night, because like Twitter was kicking off again during the week, right? As it usually does.
What? No.
So the topic of discussion this time was intergender wrestling. Right, basically, should it be allowed, or not allowed, but like is it good or is it not, right? Yeah. And basically, I think the majority vote was like it's grand, like intergender wrestling.
Well, if you want to do it, you want to do
exactly,
it.
Exactly, right? Don't. There were some people. I think Lance Storm was very anti it. Yeah, you know what I mean, and just like a few people were. And I was thinking about this right last night, that wrestling is in such a particular position that it's not like in a way it's a sport, and not just a sport but a combat sport, and in like you will never ever find in any other combat sport men fighting women or whatever, because like for the most part anyway, nothing's sanctioned anyway, just because of that's just the way it is, you know, and it's in the way most sports. Yeah. But it's also not quite a sport. It's also entertainment. It's not sports entertainment, but like it's TV drama as well. You know what I mean?
It'll never be allowed on a big network. Like you'll never see it on the US or Fox, or you'll never see it on TNT. Like so, AEW I don't think will ever have it, and I don't think WWE will ever have it, because solely because of sponsorship and there's so much money going. Because
the thing is, right, you could have, and look, this is just my opinion, right, and I think I've said on the past before, I was never the biggest fan of intergender wrestling, but I don't mind it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I mean, people can. I'm not going to be like, you shouldn't do it. Like if it works, it works. Like the Sami Callihan Tessa Blanchard feud was fantastic because it just worked. But like, let's say you take a woman. I'm trying to pick one out of my head. Let's just say Bayley, right? Bayley is a big heel now in WWE, right? Take her. Let's put her in a match against, I don't know,
Rey Mysterio, one of the biggest baby faces ever. Yeah. If Rey Mysterio 6'1" against Bayley, like, it's hard. Like, there's so much inequality in not just in wrestling but in life between men and women, that in history and still to this day, like women don't get treated nearly as fairly as they should in most jobs. Like, it's just hard not to root for the woman. Do you know what I mean? And I think the only person who can pull it off is Stephanie McMahon. Yeah, I think in terms of that, you want to see her be hurt and you don't care who hurts her. Like, you remember WrestleMania a few years back when Kurt Angle got her in the ankle lock. I was when Roman speared her. It was like the highlight of the whole match, in the Roman Triple H match. Yeah, well, the less said about that match, the better. Yeah, but the tag match, which was actually really good, when she went to kick Kurt, he caught her, and you could see in his face he was going through this moral fucking conundrum, and then he just turned and and the place went nuts. Yeah, so like the thing is, right, and this is a fairly good argument for it, in my opinion, right, that like people say male and female wrestlers, you wouldn't say male and female accountants, you wouldn't say male and female, stockbrokers. Like, a wrestler is what you are. Like, you're a man or you're a woman, or whatever. You know what I mean? That's a topic for another day. But like, your gender is your gender, and then but like a wrestler is your profession. Yeah, you know what I mean? Well, that's fair enough. But you have to separate the divisions as well. I know, and like that, I'm totally on that side as well. That's just how I feel about it, because like I'm like, well, no, like if you're talking about what this person does, they both are wrestlers. But they're not male wrestlers, not female wrestlers. Two people who have been very outspoken about it are Session Moth Martina, who is obviously a huge advocate for intergender wrestling. A lot of her matches are intergender matches, and she's very good. Yeah, very good wrestler. And like that's the thing, like I mean, like, and Millie McKenzie, who has had loads of matches with men as well. It's just a whole different dynamic to wrestling, because men and women
have different body shapes, different levels of athleticism. You know, it's just
Then there's the whole question of, you know, do you want to see, like, especially on the big networks, do they want to see a man hit a woman on TV?
Yeah, because it's you know, and the kind of hashtag going around now is equal rights, equal fights. But like, you know, no one is going to feel totally comfortable with a man running up and just punt kicking. If Randy Orton punt kicks Beth Phoenix in the head, no one rests easy. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The reason they did that segment was to
make
evoke
you
shock value. Like,
yeah.
you know what I mean? And make you hate Randy Orton.
Yeah.
Like, if Beth Phoenix, and like, if a woman slaps a man, like Stephanie obviously being the exception, but more often than not, it's like, oh, like, yeah, he deserved it kind of thing. Like,
yeah.
Or, you know, I mean, there's exceptions to the rule, but like, if okay,
it's a very tough subject to handle because there is very good arguments for both.
Let's just hypothetically, right? You have Andrade, Angel Garza, and Zelina Vega are a little unit, right, at the moment. Let's just say a year from now, you know, Angel Garza wants to split off and be a babyface or something. They're looking at turning him face and whatever. Yeah. And let's say, like, you know, Zelina's still a heel and so is Andrade, and Zelina slaps Angel Garza and it's like the full slap on the turn, and then Angel Garza just turns around and punches her in the face. Do you know what I mean? Everyone's kind of going to go, hold on a sec. I know he hit her, or she hit him first, but still, it's still. I think we're still at a place in society, and where you're not going to feel comfortable with a man beating up a woman, essentially, like,
and
be that fake as it may be.
And then it goes to a thing where, you know, it gets harder to tell stories with intergender wrestling because you're always, like you said, like, you're always expecting the woman to be the babyface and the man to be the heel.
Yeah, and like,
you're, you know,
you know, you're
handcuffing yourself there.
And the thing is, when Tessa Blanchard won the Impact World Championship, you know, fantastic historical moment, first woman to do it. But then you're like, how do you take the title off her now without, like?
You could. Well, there was ways of doing it. Apparently, obviously, they didn't end up doing any of it.
I know,
but
I'm just saying, like, it's hard not to do it without someone looking like the biggest face or biggest heel ever, rather.
Well, yeah, but then that's what you do. You
that's
do it
you
with a heel.
yeah.
But then, you know, if you keep doing that, it gets repetitive. You know.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it seems like a one-way street where you know.
Yeah, and maybe time will evolve, and maybe, you know, you can do it that way. But you know,
look,
it's
intergender wrestling is fine. Like, it's like, I'm not saying don't do it. I'm not saying it shouldn't be allowed.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it's a very uncomfortable subject for, you know, especially like you said, things, companies with big sponsors, big TV deals, you know, where there's a lot of money riding on it, and they might necessarily, like, but then again, that's the funny, like, you know, if you watch a TV show, if a man shoots a woman or a woman shoots a man, you're not going to be like, oh, boycott this, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but that's
the funny position wrestling is in.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It's that medium before, because like
between sports and TV drama,
TNT could, you know, fucking not show, or like, you know, be very iffy about showing wrestling, and then they could, you know, you could put on fucking whatever next fucking show that comes on after Dynamite, and it's like, you know, an abusive husband and you know, like, all that. It's the weird conundrum bubble that wrestling finds itself in all the time.
Wrestling is a very there's no other medium in the world like wrestling, where like it's not quite a sport, but it's not quite television, or you know what I mean.
You know, like in television, you can get away with it, but
because
like
everyone knows it's fake. Everyone knows it's actors.
But incredible combat sport, you're not going to get away with it.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to get away with, you know, putting Amanda Nunes in a fight with like a UFC. Yeah, you know, like,
Amanda Nunes is a killer and an absolute warrior, but like Stephen Miocic is 6'4" and 250, and he's also like trained.
A Francis Ngannou or something.
You know what I mean? Like, I mean, Amanda Nunes is one of my all-time favorite fighters. I think she's fantastic, and she's unbelievable. And she will. I promise you, there's very few women on this earth who I say could take a fight to her. I think.
No.
But like you put her in there with Francis Ngannou, like you said, who is an absolute monster of a man, and like just she's 5'8" as far as I know, and weighs in 135. He's 6'5", 265.
Yeah.
And hits like a fucking lorry. And but, like, you could argue Amanda Nunes, black belt in jiu-jitsu, Francis Ngannou got fuck all credentials. Francis Ngannou can keep her at about fucking 2 meters distance.
Yeah. And
just swing his fucking sledgehammers at her. And
but like, and then
do you know what I mean?
But that's the weird kind of battle wrestling has been doing for years. Are they a sport or are they television?
And like, and the thing is, like, men and women are obviously built differently. Like, we have different hormones, we have different...
Well, yeah, but that's just a whole other debate.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, you can argue that, like, men produce testosterone or males produce testosterone, which then...
But, like, then again, it is weird then, because, like, playing devil's advocate, wrestling is still a performance, so, like... That shouldn't matter in terms of wrestling, but like it's
exactly, you're right. Like in the sense that wrestling obviously is scripted. You work a match in a certain way.
Yeah. Like
they're not going to be leathering each other into the face.
Yeah.
I mean, in some cases they do, but like you don't have to.
Yeah.
Like it's look. Bottom line, intergender wrestling is fine. I'm not against it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It works. It's not my favorite thing in the world. But like I'm not going to be like, oh god, intergender wrestling, turn off the TV.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I'm still going to watch it and give it a chance and let's see if it's good.
And we've seen live intergender wrestling matches which have been really good.
It's been great.
And I understand
it's a very touchy subject.
Yeah, and I understand why some people have a hard stance, and it's people like Session Martina and stuff. It's because that is their livelihood. That's their
she's made her living off kind of like.
And I get why she's so protective when someone like Lance Storm comes around and says, no, this shouldn't be a thing. Because if someone turned around and said wrestling should be about entertainment and not work rate, I bet Lance Storm would be would have yeah. So it's a touchy subject.
It's just one of those things that's probably going to get argued for the rest of the time. Like, you know what I mean? Like, unless there's some serious societal changes, but
it's going to be the new is wrestling a sport or entertainment type question.
And like even if you go down to an even more minute level, like you can be like what should a wrestler be? Should it be about the athleticism of the wrestler, the gimmick of the wrestler?
Yeah.
Should it be about mic skills?
But it's going to be a debate that's going to ring on till the end of time.
It's just going to be one of these things that there's no right answer really. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if you don't like intergender wrestling, that's fine, but don't be the person who tries to boycott it. Like,
there's plenty of others who do.
That's the thing. And like, it's like Joe. Like, remember a couple of years back when remember that Will Ospreay Ricochet match in Best Super Juniors and it broke the internet because they were just flipping around the place like I don't know what. Like, flippy wrestling is fine, but if you don't like it, don't try and boycott it.
If you don't like it, then just don't watch it. Like, there's other
and like
avenues.
But the thing is, I've always been under the mindset like don't knock it till you try it. So like if a certain match, if a certain stipulation or match or whatever isn't working in particular, I'll watch it and I'll see what I think about it and make my own mind up.
And form your own opinion on it.
You know what I mean? Like if you don't like intergender wrestling but you've never seen an intergender match, like go watch one and then make up your mind. If you still don't like it, that's up to you. But like,
and if you are going to watch one, I'd recommend Tessa Blanchard, Sami Callihan feud because that's that whole feud is very good.
That's the thing. Like that whole feud was fantastic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But will we leave it here? I suppose.
Yeah.
So yeah. Thanks for listening. I suppose. Do you want to?
Yeah. Thanks.
Plug or
follow us on Twitter at JBWrestling1998. I think that's what it is.